Hi and welcome to my video for my lab practical. So the very first thing I want to do before I start anything is I'm going to spray down my table with my germicide. So I'm spraying down my table. I grab some paper towels and I wipe it up. And then I let it dry for I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes. Now I'm going to pause to put my lab coat on and my gloves, and I'll be right back. So now I have my lab coat on and my gloves. I also have my pants on and I have closed-toed shoes, so I know I'm protected to do this lab. So the very first thing I want to do is to get my slide, because we will be preparing our heat fix slide to do our stains on. So here is my slide. As you can see, it's not labeled yet. So in lab, I would use my China marker, but since we're not in lab, I'm going to get my good old Sharpie, and on the frosted side, I'm going to put my initials. But I'm also going to flip it over and draw a circle, kind of like as a target, so when I start making my slide, I know where the water and the culture have to stay into. So I'm going to flip it over so that the circle is on the back of the slide, not where the culture is going to be. So now that I did that, I'm going to take my dropper that I already had filled with water, and I'm just going to do a little drop in the circle there. So after that, I'm going to take the culture, but I have to do it with my inoculation loop here. So I'm going to put it in my back-dough incinerator for 10 seconds. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now that I've done that, I touched it. I'm sorry. So now I gotta do it again because I touched the bottom of it. So I'm gonna have to incinerate for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and wait 3 seconds for it to cool off. That would have burnt myself if I touched it right away, and I shouldn't have touched it, so that was my mistake. So now that I have my loop and it's cooled off, I can now go in here and grab my culture, take the cap off, take this, take my inoculation loop, go in, get a little bit of culture, as you can see. I'm then gonna put my cap back on my culture, put it back in the test tube rack is right here by the sharps container. I am then going to take my inoculation loop and I'm gonna gently incorporate it here with the drop of water I had, making sure to stay inside that circle. Now that I think I have enough culture on there, I'm going to re-back-dough incinerate my inoculation loop. So for 10 seconds again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So after this is done, I can safely put it on the table without having to worry about the spread of the culture. Now I'm going to let this dry. So I'm going to pause it while this dries, and then we'll get on to the very next step. Okay, so now that my slide is pretty much dry, I'm going to use my Bunsen burner to heat fix it. So to do this, I'm going to pass it over the blue flame a few times. And so that way it's not in the direct flame, it's only on the top of the blue part. So that way I'm not going to break the slide or worry about it. So after this is cooled down, I'm sorry again. Just my day-to-day. I should have been using this clip because I would have burnt myself. So we're going to do it again. So I have my clip. I'm going to pass it over the blue flame a few times to heat fix it. And now it's heat fixed. So I'm going to let it cool. And after it's cool, that means I can use it. So I can either put it right under the microscope and use it, or I can put it in our handy-dandy slide box, which is I'm gonna put it in our slide box because we can use our heat slide that we just did for the rest of our stains. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So while I prepare all my stains, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, now that I got all my stains in place, I'm ready to show you the grams staining trick. So I got my staining tray right here. This is the picture. So I'm going to place my slide in the staining tray. So once it's in the staining tray, I'm going to flood it with the crystal violet. And I'm just going to do this for like maybe 30 seconds. So I'm flooding the tray, flooding the slide. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to want to rinse it with this water bottle. So I'm going to like put gentle water flowing on it so I can, wash off the stain. So after I washed it down, I'm going to put it back down. And that is when I go to my grams iodine. So I'm going to put this on for like, 60 seconds or something like that. I'm going to put it on just like I did the crystal violet. After I'm done with that, again, I'm going to use the water bottle to wash it. So I'm going to hold it at an angle and wash it all down into my staining tray. The staining tray will collect all the stain and all the water. Now I'm done with that. I believe I go to my ethanol and I apply 10 to 15 drops of this. Okay, now that that's done, I go in again with our handy dandy water bottle. Okay, now that I went in with our water bottle, I can start with the saffron. So here's my saffron dye. And I'm going to put this on for like 30 seconds like the other ones. Flood in the slide. Once I'm done flooding the slide, again, I'm going to use my water bottle to flush off all the extra stain. So I'm flushing it off, real gentle like. So now that I'm done, I'm going to get my bibulous paper and I'm just going to blot my slide dry. So now my slide is ready to use. I can use it in my microscope. I can put it in my slide box for later. But once I'm done with this slide, it now has to go into my sharps container when I'm fully done with it. So if I'm done with it, it's going to go in the sharps container. And I'm done with this part of my lab. Now, I did not show you me cleaning up before I started because I cleaned up before I did the last part, and I don't think you need to clean in between. I think it's when you first start and when you end. So I did not clean my area. So now I'm going to get all my stains ready so I can show you the next staining process that we're going to do. And I believe that is an acid fast. So let me get all my stains together. So I'm back. I got all my new stains. I did forget to mention, though, before I paused, that in the staining tray that we used for the gram stain, you would put all the extra stain that was in that tray in these containers. These would hold your extra stain so that way we could dispose of them properly. So to start, I have another heat-fixed slide and the staining tray. But the first thing I'm going to want to do, I think, is a steam bath. So let me find my steam bath. Here it is. So the first thing I think you're going to steam it for 10 minutes. But you're going to put a piece of bibulous paper over it. Let's just pretend that means over it. And we're going to flood it with what stain? The carbon fuchsia? I can't pronounce that, but this is what I'm going to flood it with. And so I'm going to flood it over the bibulous paper as it's steaming for 10 minutes. I'm going to keep applying as needed so that way the slide doesn't crack. So after 10 minutes of this, I'm going to take my slide off the steam bath and I'm going to transfer it over to my staining tray and let it cool. And then I'm going to take off my bibulous paper. And now I can rinse it again. Well, not again, I just started. I can rinse it. So I'm going to rinse the slide into my staining tray so everything goes into the staining tray. Okay, so after that, I'm going to want to put some acid alcohol, which is different than what we used before. So I'm going to just put some some drops onto my slide. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to rinse it again like I would have with all the other stains. So I'm going to rinse it off into my staining tray, really gentle like. Once I'm done with this, I can now put it back into my staining tray. And that's when I get this, I think it's called methylene blue. That's what I think it's called. And you're going to flood your slide again with this. So I'm flooding my slide, I don't know, 30 seconds. My goodness, I can't talk today, but 30 seconds. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to prop up my slide again. I'm just going to take my water bottle and gently spray off all the excess, stuff that doesn't need to be there. Okay, and now I'm done with my slide. So I can put my slide in the slide box like any of the other slides. Or once I'm done with it, I can put it in the sharps container to dispose of it. But what do I do with all the stain that's left in the tray? Well, like last time, I'm going to put it in the stain collection vessels. So I'm going to pour it all in there, close this up, and we're good. So now that this is done, I believe our next slide is an endospore slide. So let me get us all set for that one, and I'll see you guys in just a moment. And I'm back. So I think last time I forgot to tell you, after you're done rinsing, you were supposed to blot your slide dry with bibulous paper. I don't remember if I did that, so I'm going to say it now. But I'm going to start right in on our endospore slide. So just like the last one we did, we're going to start with a steam bath. So I'm going to get my steam bath here. Can you see it? Okay. I'm going to put this over it. My slide, my new heat fix slide. I'm going to place it over it. I'm going to get a piece of bibulous paper and I'm going to put that over it. And then I'm going to put the Michelin green stain, just like I did the other stain, as needed over the slide. Flood the slide with it as needed. I'm going to sit in this middle of the slide, sit in the steam bath for, 10 minutes. And then it can come out, cool off in our staining tray. Once it's cool, I can take my bibulous paper off. And now I can start washing off our slide. It's not washing, but rinsing it, I would say. So you prop up your slide again with your slide clip. And I'm just going to gently push some water on it to wash off all the Michelin green that was left. So I'm going to wash it off. Everything is going into my staining tray again. So once it's done, I can set my slide back in, and that's when our handy dandy saffron comes in place. I'm going to again flood this with saffron, 30 seconds maybe. Okay, once I'm done with that, get my water bottle again, and I'm going to rinse gently. So we're rinsing gently. Okay, now that that's done, I'm done. But this is what I think I forgot last time. We take our bibulous paper. I'm just going to blot it dry. So it's dry now. So again, this can go in our slide box. But when we're done with it, it must go in our sharps container. Now, with our leftover stain from our stain tray, goes in one of our stain collection vessels. So it's all in there now. So now that all that is done, I can officially move into I think it's a broth culture next. So I'm going to clean up all my stains and get all my index cards together. And I think actually because these videos are so long and my internet is rather rough this week, I'm going to make a new video, so look for part 2. All right, thanks.